The story of Louis Braille. There was a time, not long ago, when most people thought that blind people could never learn to read. People thought that the only way to read was to look at words with one's eyes. A young French boy named Louis Braille thought differently. Blind from the age of 3, young Louis desperately wanted to read, and he was determined to find a way of doing this for himself and for all other blind people. This story begins about 200 years ago. Louis Braille was born in 1809 in a small village near Paris. His father made leather goods to sell to other villagers. Louis's father often used sharp tools to cut and punch holes in the leather. One day, while playing with one of his father's sharp tools, Louis's hand slipped and he accidentally poked one of his eyes. At first, the injury didn't seem serious, but then the wound became infected. A few days later, young Louis lost sight in both his eyes. The first few days after becoming blind were very hard. But as the days went by, Louis learned to adapt and tried to lead an otherwise normal life. He went to school with all his friends and did well in his studies. As he grew older, he realized that the small school he attended did not have the special facilities he needed. He heard of a school in Paris that was especially for blind students. Louis joined this school to get a good education. All along, Louis felt that there must be a way for blind people to read as quickly and as easily as a person who can see. He thought about ways of doing this. One day, somebody at Louis' school heard about an alphabet code that was being used by the French army. The alphabet code was made up of small dots and dashes. These dots and dashes were raised up off the paper and could be read simply by running one's fingers over them. Louis studied the code and tried it out. It was interesting, but was still slow and difficult to read. The dashes took up a lot of space on a page. Each page could only hold 1 or 2 sentences. Louis knew that he could improve this alphabet in some way, perhaps by removing the dashes. On his next vacation at home, Louis began to think about how he could make the system of dots and dashes simple. As he sat there in his father's leather shop, the idea came to him in a flash. The very tool which had caused him to go blind could be used to make a raised dot alphabet that would enable him to read. The next few days he spent working on an alphabet made up entirely of 6 dots. The position of the different dots would represent the different letters of the alphabet. Louis used the tool to punch out a sentence. He read it quickly from left to right. Everything made sense. It was a new system of reading by feeling with fingers, and it worked. From that day to this, people who are unable to see make use of this system for reading. Named after its inventor, this is called Braille. Braille has changed the lives of blind people all over the world. A better system of reading than Braille is yet to be invented.